Hey, this is Johnny Damon, and you are watching the Moneyball channel on YouTube.
We now welcome in left-handed pitcher for the Horned Frogs, Payton Tolle. You laughed at that. Was that an infomercial?
Boston Red Sox select Payton Tolle, a left-handed pitcher from TCU. The Cincinnati Reds have the next pick.
All right, Craig Breslow and company cooking on this pick. Payton Tolle is a very interesting guy. Huge extension down the mound, over 7 feet, really low release, and it's a vert fastball, so he carries it, which is really unique from that slot. I have a comp here on like a Tanner Scott kind of pitcher, where there's not a lot of lefties that are extending this much from that slot, carrying the ball this well, and also throwing relatively hard.
Pleasure this evening to have with me Mr. Payton Tolle. Payton was second-round draft pick, 50th overall Boston Red Sox. Needless to say, if they're investing their second overall pick, this dude can play ball. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much. I like to think that they think that I can ball.
Unless they made a big mistake and you're the 49-year-old that they thought that on the other side.
Yeah.
No, man, for real. Thank you so much for taking some time. You know, it is my pleasure. And I've been, as of late, over the past month or so, I've been interviewing a lot of baseball draftees, a lot of prospects. I've really been enjoying myself with it, man. Hopefully you can keep that streak alive, my man.
I'll try. I like, a bunch of these guys I've been meeting, and you meet the guys that are in the majors and stuff, and a lot of them are good guys too. But these guys that have been, grinding in the affiliates and stuff like that, like they're some really good guys, and you can get some great stories out of them too.
Oh yeah, yeah, man. It's one of two things. This is how I'll say it. You can get drafted. You can spend your entire life in minor leagues playing high A, low A, triple A. You almost get there, you don't. Injury, step back down. Baseball is a grind. I tell anybody, man, getting drafted is one part of the equation.
Absolutely.
We're going to knock on wood here. Drafted as high as you were, bro, you're going to be pitching. There's no question. And listen, you could be drafted in I know guys I've interviewed in the 16th, 17th round that are studs.
Oh.
None of there's some scouts see it at different times, and things of that nature. But it is a grind, right? So from what you've seen, I guess, so far, what has your path been? I mean, you got drafted when?
So it was July 14th was his draft. Great day, everything. And then pretty much a week later is when we all reported down to Fort Myers, Florida. And then I was pretty much there for the whole summer. We got a week to come back, and then went back down there for the off-season training program that we had. So got really familiar with all those guys, talked about Connolly. Being down there with him, being down there with, you had guys, Garrett Whitlock, Cutter Crawford, and then just guys all the way down from wherever, doing whatever's kind of cool. You got to just conversate with those guys, got to learn a lot from them, trying to have our best idea of what to expect going into spring training, going into next year. So, it was, it's kind of the best life you can live whenever you're going there, throwing every day, and then being with those guys and then golfing. It's like, it's the greatest job in the world. So.
There's no doubt, man. And it's incredible. You're what, 22 years old?
Yep, just turned 22.
And just, again, to have everything to look forward to, man, is incredible. And I hope, and I tell these guys, be a sponge right now, man.
Yeah.
Everything these guys say, even these older cats, right, that maybe never were super successful, but if they've been through it and they've seen it, those are the guys actually I'd be listening to the most. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like those old heads that are just like, they have the wisdom and they can tell you all about the kind of the regimen, and the routine.
Yeah.
And how to do this and stay away from these guys and that kind of thing, man. And it's just amazing to have that. And you guys just become a big family,
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely, I remember asking Whitlock one of the last days that we were there, I was like, so talk about feel, like what is no feel whenever you go into spring training? Like, is there something you can't do? He's like, don't touch the iPad, don't touch the music. Like that's big league guys. Don't do anything. Like you can do a lot of things, but don't touch the iPad. I'm like, see, I got bad taste in music anyways. I'm out of there. But yeah,
that's one of my questions coming up, bro. You're stealing it.
But no, it's great to have those guys around. Then you also got the draft guys too, and we got really close being down there. I think we had 2 pitchers that went on to play up in Salem, and then a few of the hitters went and played in Greenville too. But for the most part, we were all down there for the whole summer, and she got to hang out with them in the hotel. So it was a good time, but I'm definitely ready to get back going. I got to get that competitive bone going again. feel like I haven't played in a game in forever. So
You know what? In all seriousness, man, I think about that. I think about those things. When you're a very competitive guy and you can train as much as you want, but throwing in game situations,
yeah,
and really making sure you're conditioned. The last thing in
yeah,
God's, world you want is injury and stretch and do this and that. But there's a big difference, between going out and throwing your repertoire of pitches and the heat that you have, and just warming up and screwing around, right? So,
right.
and it's you just said it. You got to be itching to get back out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
The game reps, like, you're not going to learn it more than in a game in the heat of the moment, even if it's a scrimmage or something. Like, those are, I go back to the inter squads we had at TCU and Wichita. It's like, that's whenever you're playing baseball is whenever you're learning baseball, because there's things that'll come up in those games that you don't think about in practice. So that, and like, I need an outlet. I need an outlet to
Yeah.
get. I'm sitting over here like telling my brother, let's go
Dude,
race to
I
get
can see it in you, man. I can see it. You're ready to go. Like you just want to get
yeah.
it, man.
Yeah.
You
for
guys,
sure.
do you guys report in January?
Yeah. So some of the guys are reporting early. I'm reporting down there January 5th. So
That's
early.
pretty early though. That's early.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it'll be good to get back, but kind of that January all the way up to when spring training officially starts, kind of just guys start trickling in and just kind of whenever. Man, yeah, that's a lot of fun. I mean, that's what it's all about. Just getting down there. You gotta sit down at the cafeteria with everybody. That's where the good conversations start going.
Oh yeah, man, I bet. When did you kind of realize, and it's a cliche question. I try to not ask all the same questions, but I think for viewers, who might not know who you are yet, they're about to.
Mm.
But when did you kind of realize, all right, man, I got something special here. I think I can really take this to the next level type situation. I mean, listen, you're a big boy, dude. I love the power, you know what I'm saying? Like, because sometimes, and not always, but when you get a guy of your size, a lot of times you lose control and you lose, what's the best word I'm looking for? The craft of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
They just
absolutely.
try throwing so hard, right? They just try
Yeah.
throwing hard. But this is a craft to you. You have specific tools in your belt. So getting back to my question, when did you feel like you might have something special to, like, hey man, I might have something here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been something that I think really probably my sophomore year of high school was whenever I started really taking college seriously about it. And then going from college to now professional is kind of that. I mean, I'd almost say that it really didn't become really. I knew that I had a good shot going into the fall at TCU. And I think whenever I had a few starts in a row during the season was really whenever I was like, okay, like this is like I'm going to be competing to be up there higher rounds, getting the right people out, having quality starts, like having the numbers that I wanted to have. I think that was whenever it really turned a switch from like, all right, we don't like, let's start fighting for, let's see how high we can get. Because it's not just one of those things where I can get picked low. That's whenever I really started thinking that. But I mean, it's always been a dream to play professionally. And obviously, like, I kind of go back to what we were talking about earlier with, the draft is great. Getting drafted is amazing. But at the end of the day, it's just a stepping stone of like what the big dream is. So, it's a great feeling, but it's always working towards the next thing, I think.
Did you, I mean, originally, were you playing weekends at TCU right away?
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I started that first opening game. So yeah, but I was also hitting too at the time. So it wasn't until that I kind of didn't mean to put the bat down, but the batting average and the amount of strikeouts that I had hitting was kind of pushing me towards being a pitcher full time. But I think that was whenever I really saw that my value wasn't pitching, and that's what was going to get me drafted. So,
and it's such a, if someone met you, they were just out and you're like, hey, what's up, man? I'm Payton, and I'm a major league ball player. How many would say, oh, he's got to be a pitcher, right?
oh, I think
Next to none.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I mean, they would look at big guy like, hey, all right, what are you hitting, fourth or fifth in the lineup? What's your longest mortar you've smacked? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to have some power at the plate, right? Was it
Mhm.
was it tough to kind of make, obviously you're an athlete and you're skilled. Was it tough to make that decision? Like to feel like, all right, I'm not going to be able to go into hitting, you know?
Yeah. I mean, as I tried to keep it in as much of my control as possible, like going through like at TCU and like everything, like I definitely thought for a while I thought I was a hitter first.
Okay.
And like throughout the fall and then kind of moving into the season, I was like, okay, like kind of like pitching is gonna be I'm gonna go out there and get innings, do the best that I can pitching, but like hitting is where I'm gonna help this team win the most games. And then I mean, really it kind of just came to I did not have a good start to it. And I really just didn't have a good start to the year in general. So those first three starts that I pitched wasn't my best. And I told Coach Charles, I was like, hey, like I think I'm ready to like look this first weekend of Big 12. Like I just want to pitch on Friday. And then
So you kind of took the initiative and told them that.
yeah, I tried to and I was like, I want to keep hitting on Saturdays, Sundays, Tuesdays, like but just for this one, let's see what happens. And it was my best start up until that point. Lost, but it was my best start. And then after that, it just kind of happened that it was like everything clicked on the pitching side of things. It was like can't really hit and risk anything there
And that's a great,
because
yeah.
because of like things were going so well on the pitching side. And it was like, I don't really like playing like that. Like I want to be in the game as much as possible. At that time I was like, well, I'm not hitting great at all. So it's gonna be time to you know, focus on pitching and really that was whenever I really started taking pitching seriously instead of just a guy
Yeah.
you know, out there trying to eat innings. I was like, let's start working on some things, get good pitches and like really take this to the next level.
Dude, but that's just a testament to how good you are. I mean, listen, to be able to make that decision when you did, you know, and then get drafted as high as you did, because let's be honest, you're still talking, man, that was last minute, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't like, hey, a year or two. I mean, it was last minute. You're talking three starts in. Oh, that's incredible, man. And I would think too that at some point the Red Sox, once you're drafted to pitch, your hitting days are over, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, did they tell you like, yo, stop, put the bat down?
Yeah, I definitely knew that going in, and I got to give a bunch of credit to Coach Sarlos too because he told me he's like we could see that hitting or pitching was more in your future than hitting ever was. And whenever I got drafted, my agent kind of told me like most everybody's looking at you as just a pitcher, and then I saw whenever I got drafted that Devin Pearson was like, yeah, we're just drafting as a pitcher. I was like, that's good, and it was good too because I mean like I love hitters. I love hitters, but like to me, it took a toll on me mentally for a little bit.
Okay.
Like I was having a tough time. I put a lot more pressure on myself on the hitting side of things, and I never have pitching, which is weird because it's hitting you're gonna fail. Like I couldn't. I was having such a hard time getting back to a mental or a good mentality while hitting it. So it was. I think all in all, it was the best thing for me, and obviously, it put me in the best position possible. So.
Well, Peyton, do you think, like I said, and I'll go back to the size and everything else. Do you think people had certain expectations when you were at the plate? Was it kind of a weight off your shoulders when okay, see, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I got to the point where I would step up to the plate, and I was like, if I don't hit a home run here, it's a failure.
And that's
That's a hard place to be.
Yeah.
That's a hard place to be. So
yeah.
yeah.
Well, man, I'll
Just
tell
had
you
to-
what, you're starting to turn some heads. There's been comparisons. I hate comparisons because you're the first Peyton Tolle. I hate comparisons. It's the same thing I tell my son, Deacon. I say, I have three little boys, and whenever they say, hey, I want to be this or this, I say, you don't need to be, you're the first Deacon Scott. You're the first Peyton Tolle. People are going to have their comparisons to Skeens, I mean, things like that, right? With how hard you throw. I had a chance to meet Skeens, a few months ago and watched a bullpen session, man. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you're throwing like that cat right there, man, it's gonna be deadly.
Absolutely. He's different. He's different.
How many pitches do you have?
Well, it kind of is changing a little bit because in college I was fastball, changeup, slider with a curveball, and now I'm kind of working still fastball, changeup, but trying to add a sweeper into it.
That's the sexy pitch right now, man. The sweeper.
That's the pitch that everybody wants to throw. Trying to work on that. Got a gyro slider, and then I'm still working on the curveball. But I don't know how much it's gonna how much longer it's going to stay around. But yeah, that sweeper is everybody's talking about it. It's the pitch that everybody wants to throw, and if you can throw a good one, it's I think the pitching coach that I've been working here with Oklahoma called it, if you can throw it right, it's God's hand coming down and helping you throw that pitch.
It's
So
really
yeah.
it's really just different positioning of the fingers on it, right? As far as the sweeper,
Yeah,
or
it's different with the fingers, but it's also like it's different with the way that the seams are shifted and how it catches the air. And I'm trying my best to learn all this.
yeah.
You got TrackMan and I look up at the numbers and I'm like, it could be a totally different language to me and
Yeah.
it would mean the same thing. So I'm trying to learn the
You just
best
like
with
throwing,
everything.
yeah.
And then always been up there. I'm like, I'm just gonna try to throw strikes. If I can make it move, great. If I can't, well, we'll figure it out.
You know what, bro? At the end of the day, it's about strikeout. That's what it is. It's about
Gotta get
it's about
out.
swings and misses and strikes. It doesn't matter. You could be throwing 20, you could be throwing knuckleballs out there, man, right? I mean,
Yeah, just gotta get out.
what are you
Gotta get
touching
out.
on the gun? How high you been up?
I've been up to 96. I've been up to 96. Somebody told me I got up to 97. I didn't see it, so I don't believe it. But 96 is right around the highest that I've been. Hit it a few times, but right now trying to sit that 93 to 95 range. But that's been, I think, becoming a full-time pitcher is just going to make that just go up because of, now my legs are all just for pitching, and that's be able to dive all the way in on it. And, I think it's definitely, getting up there, upper 90s is definitely in there somewhere. So just trying to figure out how my body moves and put myself in the best position for it. But it's right there. So.
One more baseball question, and we'll go into some fun stuff with some football and some other things. A lot of, what you had just said, people sometimes don't understand the mechanics of pitching. You really need to be a baseball head, like myself,
Yeah.
the others that are, to really understand it, right? And they really just think you walk up to the mound, yes, certain people are blessed with an arm, right? I mean, you can be
Absolutely.
165 pounds and be throwing, 95. You see some of these guys that were super duper skinny, like the Strasburgs and stuff, man, that just had it. But I think what people don't understand is the difference of how hard it is and how much work it is for you to say, I want to add 3 or 4 miles an hour to my
Yeah.
fat, right?
Yeah.
Tell the people a little bit about that, about like what goes into just adding a couple.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's built different. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is like, like to the people that don't know the ball, it's like, well, just go out there and try to throw it hard. It's like everybody's built so much different that it's trying to figure out how your body is going to most effectively and efficiently move your body. So, like, for me, it's all about my arm timing. I'm a little bit later guy, so trying to put that on time to where I can get into shoulder flexion and elbow extension and hand speed. It's like there's so much more that goes into it that like I'll always say that I think baseball players are the best athletes in all sports because I mean you don't have a basketball player doesn't go out there and throw if they hit 75 it's not like you got a good arm, but it's whenever you're trying to figure out how to get 3 more miles an hour, it's like, okay, well, you got to get in the weight room first, and then you got to clean up arm action, trying to move effectively, and then it's like, okay, well, how are you gripping the ball? Is it too far in your fingers or too out in your fingers? It's like there's so much that goes into it to where it's like there's some people that can tell you the angle of what they're at or like how they're gonna retract their shoulder and all this whatever.
I'm a Buffalo guy, bro. You're already, you've already got my heart. How did this come about as far as a Bills fan? I mean, bro, you're from Oklahoma, right? Carrie Underwood's place, and my wife's a big Carrie fan. Why and how the Bills?
I mean, it's probably sounds bad. Like I try not to claim myself as bandwagon. For some reason, my dad didn't like the Cowboys. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be a Cowboys fan. But one time, it was in high school that me and my buddy, were talking about it, and I think it was he was with some friends, and they were like, let's just all pick some NFL teams. He was like, so I picked the Bills, and I'm like, heck yeah, like I'm all for that. Like I liked Josh Allen. I was like, big. He's a beautiful human running. It's so cool to watch him. Coming from Wyoming, going in.
Yep.
I was like, that's a fun guy to root for. So I think just going and following them along the way for the past probably about 6 years, I'd say, has kind of it's been fun, especially with Bill's Mafia, because I think you've watched the videos and everything. I'm like, I'm going to Buffalo next year for a game.
And we have a home.
And
I know some of the best tailgates in the world, specifically my boys put on. You have a home.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, like you have a home in Buffalo, man. And
Yeah.
I'll be your source for everything because I'm telling you, I had seasons for a long time. I'm now a family guy, right? But trust me, I know where to go, what spots. I'm still, it's such Buffalo. Football season comes. We have the Sabres. We love our Sabres. Sabres haven't made the playoffs in 11 years. They're on a 13-game losing streak. We're all just like tearing our hair out because hockey is big here, no doubt. But when football comes around, man, it's just forget about it, man. I mean, there's jokes about when we go out, if you see somebody at the store, instead of see you later, you say go Bills. It's just a thing.
Yeah. I love that.
Like, hey, man, see you later. It's just, hey, man, go Bills. Like me and my boys, dude, used to just have football games in the parking lot after, like some tackle games, and that was like whatever. But to see it evolve and now be, Nate Burleson handing his jackets to fans, it's gotten so cool. And it does a lot for the city. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's people who want to come to Buffalo, like just to come and tailgate. And it is really, we're one of the few environments where you can still come super early. Listen, man, we had an 8 o'clock game a couple weeks ago at home.
Yeah.
I was driving the other way down, and at 9 a.m, it was packed. People were doing keg stands at 9 a.m, dude. I mean, half of these dudes don't remember the game. Wild. And it's really, and I love the fact that Josh is here because Jim Kelly was our QB. He was our guy. We lost those 4 Super Bowls. It was absolutely heartbreaking. It destroyed the community. Then we went through this drought. So then when Josh got drafted, there were a lot of people that hated it. They got booed for it and everything, and they wanted Josh Rosen. And like, okay, right? Look where we are now. And Josh is just a down-to-earth guy, man. He is just one of the kindest human beings. He comes from a great family. What you see is what you get with him. All this stuff, not nonsense. Like, dude, he's not, this poser putting on an act, whatever. He's the real deal. Family is class act. Like everything about him is class act. So you picked the right team. You really did.
Well, I love it, and it's been fun. Like, just now, whenever people ask me, it's like, well, who do you follow the most? And it used to be like, I don't really know. Like, I just kind of follow who's on my fantasy team or whatever. But it's like, I'm a Bills guy. Like, I'm a Bills guy, and I'm not afraid of it. I think it's amazing, and we're gonna beat the Chiefs this year. And the Chiefs haven't won a clean game, in my opinion, in a while. And I think that's whenever Stephon Diggs left, I think that was like kind of not saying I don't know Stephon Diggs personally, but I'm like him leaving looks like it freed a lot of people up, including, Josh Allen get to go to a lot of different receivers now. And so I get that.
The motto is everybody eats. And with Diggs, I liked Diggs when he was here, but let's face it, man. He played when he was on the Vikings. He was toxic, and when he came to Buffalo, he was toxic. And it's really weird what he would do because when he first got here, he'd be like, "Oh, me and Josh are up all night playing video games together. He's my brother, like this dude's." But and then it was like all of a sudden he just turned on him. You're not throwing me the ball, and I think Josh was really hurt by it. To be honest, I truly think you'll never hear him publicly say that, but I think he was truly hurt by it. And then recently Diggs just came out and said, bro's got my vote for MVP. He's having a killer year. And so he's trying to redeem himself because Buffalo, I mean, we were burning in jerseys and everything. Like it and then the Keon Coleman, Buffalo, it's interesting, man. We went and got Amari Cooper. We don't use him.
Yeah.
We went and got Keon Coleman. We don't use him. We already had Shakir. Shakir is this little guy, man. You see him and he's like, you'd be like, really?
Yeah.
But he's this little guy and he doesn't drop balls. And James Cook, I said it from the jump with this guy that he was going to be unbelievable. And he's every bit of that,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm excited for you. Like I can sense where you're going and I can sense how thrilled you are and how stoked, to be at this point of your career. And I'm truly like excited for you, man. I mean, did you ever think, in a million years, first of all, you would have been drafted when you did. And now that people are chirping, does it bug you at all? Are you taking it all in? Like how is the mental with it all?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just all taking it in. There's some stuff that it's like, oh, like, I'll show my dad, like we'll laugh about it. It's just funny. But there's a little bit of it that's like you got like at some point you got to just turn off the phone. Like, reading it, no matter how you read it, if you read it seriously, if you read it taking it funny, like you still read it, you're still processing it. Like it's gonna, like at some point you got to just shut it all away, positive, negative, and I learned that throughout college too. It's like, yeah, you can have one great week, but you read something, get a big head, and then the next week you get humbled quick. But it's and that's what baseball does. Baseball finds ways to humble you. Even the good ones get humbled. So it's very exciting, and I'm super thankful for all of it. And it just gives me another. To me, I feel like this is just a vessel for me to spread the good word of God. And if this is my my lot, as my mom would say, then this is what I'm going to use it for. And so yeah, it's definitely special, and I'm just thankful to be on the ride.
Did they give you your blueprint yet? Have they said anything to you like, hey, we're starting you a double, high A, whatever, or is it just kind of wait and see?
Not really. I think it's a lot of wait and see, and then we'll see what spring training holds. But yeah, to me, you just tell me where to be, when to be there, what to wear, and I'm there.
All right, let's dive into a couple of fun ones, man. So you said the music taste. If I were to grab your phone right now and look at the last thing you were listening to, what would it be?
I think it was all. It's gonna be different because I was listening. I threw on an Eminem radio, and I think it was "Without Me" by Eminem. But normally, it's gonna be Luke Combs, Chris Stapleton, Zach Bryan, all country guys.
Big country guy?
Yeah, big country guy. So Eric Church, all those kind of guys. Those are guys that I listen to. So.
Oklahoma just bleeds country artists, man. It's wild.
Oh man, it's having right now. Zach Bryan's doing what he's doing, but like Turnpike Troubadour is having a little bit of a moment again. It's definitely carry on. You said carry on to what earlier? Like my mom grew up 15 minutes from where she grew up. Like it's the good music comes out of here, and it's like, oh,
did she know her at all? Did she ever like meet her or know any?
Oh no, they didn't know each other.
What's the best food in Oklahoma, and where that you've traveled? What's your favorite meal? Like if you were to you're on the road traveling, what's your go-to?
I mean, Oklahoma's tough. We don't have a whole lot. I think probably from where I'm at, there's this place called Ishan's. It's fried chicken. It's pretty good.
Shout out Ishans.
Absolutely. Shout out Ishans. On the road, I try to get, if me and my buddy had this thing our freshman year of college, and I tried to hold to it that like I'd go and try a different Mexican food restaurant. I'd try to go, it could be really authentic or like Tex-Mex. I really didn't care.
Have you actually been to Buffalo yet?
I've been. So we did a long road trip junior year of high school, and we went up there, saw Niagara, drove by the stadium. Like we might have stayed. Me and my brother had this argument the other day about if we stayed in Buffalo or not.
That was the big thing when we were building the stadium. They're like, why are we not building this downtown? And
right.
I really would have liked that because I think it can do so much for a city. But it got shot down, and they're building it across the street from where it is. I have a good friend who's inside. He's an iron worker, and he's inside working on it. So I'll send you some of those videos too, man.
That's cool.
I'm gonna hook you up. You're gonna get side info on Buffalo. I got a nice care package already planned coming for you. A Moneyball hat and some secret Buffalo Bills stuff. Like you picked the right guy to do an interview with. I can tell you that, bro.
Perfect.
You and I will be sitting down having buffalo wings at some point.
Perfect. That's perfect.
I mean, stamp it, bro. Stamp it.
Oh, it's there.
Stamp it on your pack. No, this was great, man. I hope you had a good time. It was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
At some point we'll invite you back. I wish you nothing but the best, with everything. And all joking aside, man, you definitely have the right attitude. You're a humble guy. Stay that way. Don't let anything change the way you are. Thanks again. Pleasure.
Thank you so much. So
I'll let you get back to it, man. Easy, man.